Word of the day is coordinated, because a coordinated attack seems to be taking place on India by Canada, and a leading daily from the United States of America is helping out. It was a multi-pronged attack. On the radar was India's Home Minister Amit Shah, NSA Ajit Doval, RSS and agents of Indian government. There were charges that the Indian government is using gangster Lawrence Bishnoi to target Khalistani extremists in Canada. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau held an extraordinary press conference on Monday to target the Indian government over the killing of Khalistan extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, allegedly by the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. His police officials also held additional press briefings to bolster their rhetoric.
We've seen a number of criminal organizations that have been involved in the various criminal activity. I mentioned previously the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, which is a gang that's involved in extortions and narcotics originating from India.
When I spoke with Prime Minister Modi at the end of last week, I highlighted how incredibly important the meeting between our national security advisors in Singapore this weekend was going to be. He told me that he was aware of that meeting. I impressed upon him that it needed to be taken very, very seriously. I think it is obvious that the government of India made a fundamental error in thinking that they could engage in supporting criminal activity against Canadians here on Canadian soil, whether it be murders or extortion or other violent acts.
Incidentally, the Washington Post came out with an article on the very same day with the source-based details on what allegedly transpired during the meeting between National Security Advisors of India and Canada in Singapore on the 12th of October. According to this article, Canadian officials told NSA Doval that Indian diplomats have used violence as well as threatened to deny needed immigration documents to coerce Indians living in Canada to serve as their informants against Sikh activists. This scheme, according to Washington Post, involves Indian officials at the country's consulates in Vancouver and Toronto, as well as its High Commission in Ottawa. Canadian officials claim that the collection operation was overseen by Sanjay Verma, India's High Commissioner in Ottawa. They also claim that conversations and texts among Indian diplomats include references to a senior official in India and a senior official in the RNAW. They had authorized the intelligence gathering missions and attacks on Sikh separatists. Canadian officials identified the senior official in India as Amit Shah. Now, the officials also said that India had enlisted Lawrence Bishnoi's gang networks in Canada to carry out these killings. As per the report, Doval made it clear that India would deny any link to the Nijjar murder and any link to any other violence in Canada, no matter what the evidence was. The vivid description of the meeting spun by Trudeau's team has been presented without any proof and is far removed from the sedate world of Indian diplomacy. This is exactly what the Indian government has been demanding. Give us proof for us to act. Now, Trudeau himself has made a sensational admission during a public inquiry into alleged foreign interference, where he admitted that Canada didn't have any hard evidentiary proof to support its allegations. However, what it does have is inclinations.
Work behind the scenes to try and get India to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, no, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services.
The Ministry of External Affairs latched onto this confession and gave a response saying what we have heard today only confirms what we have been saying consistently all along. Canada has presented us no evidence whatsoever in support of the serious allegations that it has chosen to level against India and Indian diplomats. The responsibility for the damage that this cavalier behavior has caused to India-Canada relations lies with Prime Minister Trudeau alone, unquote. Even as Trudeau has managed to expose himself, his former ally Jagmeet Singh has gone a step ahead and even dragged the RSS into the controversy. Even the Canadian media, by the way, was left laughing at his allegations when he was asked specifically what kind of ban did he want imposed.
We will also urge Canada to ban the RSS, which is a right-wing extremist militant group from India that has branches in other countries, including in Canada, that promotes violence and division.
So Justin Trudeau and his team have been harping about gangster Lawrence Bishnoi carrying out targeted killings in Canada on behalf of the Indian government. But what they don't answer is what stops him and his government from arresting one of the most wanted people in Canada, somebody who's also a trusted lieutenant of the same Lawrence Bishnoi. We're talking about Goldie Barar, who is among Canada's 25 most wanted men. He's been living in the country since 2017 when he visited on a student visa. He had claimed responsibility for the murder of Sidhu Moosewala, who was shot dead in Punjab's Mansa in 2022, and he's also accused of targeted killings, attempt to murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and illegal arms trafficking within India. This is an uncomfortable truth which has been conveniently ignored by Trudeau and his administration. He also spoke about keeping Canadians safe and how he will go any distance to achieve it. But again, he hasn't replied to questions about how these Khalistani elements also pose a danger to Canadians themselves.
It is my responsibility to take action and to never hesitate in doing what is necessary to protect Canadians. Canada is a country rooted in the rule of law, and the protection of our citizens is paramount.
A survey by North American market research company Liga showed that 79% of Canadians agree there are too many repeat violent offenders who are being offered bail. 78% agree that the justice system is too lenient when it comes to those found guilty of committing a violent crime. 91% Canadians agreed that repeat violent criminal offenders should have their access to bail severely restricted or revoked. This is the result of criminal justice, prison and parole measures passed by Canadian federal governments. Canadian society continues to face the stick due to such so-called progressive laws. Hardened criminals are arrested, charged, and then released on bail to commit even more crimes. Upon conviction, they receive early parole, making a mockery of the sentences that have been pronounced in court. This is why the Canadian Deputy Foreign Minister, while testifying before a commission on foreign interference, said that there were many activities of pro-Khalistan elements which were awful but lawful. Now let's take a look at the case which has brought down India-Canada relations practically into an abyss. On the 18th of June 2023, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a 45-year-old Canadian citizen, was fatally shot outside a Sikh temple in Surrey. Nijjar had been actively campaigning for the creation of an independent Sikh homeland within India. On the 1st of September last year, a Canadian trade official announced that discussions on a proposed trade agreement with India had been paused. During the G20 summit in New Delhi on the 10th of September, Prime Minister Modi expressed concern over Sikh separatist protests within Canada to his counterpart Justin Trudeau. Then on the 18th, Trudeau told the Canadian Parliament that there were credible allegations linking the Indian government agents to Nijjar's assassination. India dismissed these claims as absurd. Then, on the 19th of September, both countries expelled a diplomat in retaliation. While Canada expelled India's top intelligence officer, India responded by expelling his Canadian counterpart. Let's move forward to the 22nd of September, where India halted the issuance of new visas to Canadians and demanded that Ottawa reduce its diplomatic staff in India. Visa issuance resumed after a 2-month suspension. On the 29th, tens of thousands of Sikhs gathered in Surrey at the Gurdwara where Nijjar was murdered, participating in an unofficial referendum on forming an independent Sikh state. In February this year, India refused to cooperate in the Nijjar murder investigation till evidence is shared with them. Then on the 3rd of May, Canadian police charged 3 individuals connected to Nijjar's killing. These suspects are non-permanent residents of Canada. Cut to 18th of June, Canada's House of Commons held a moment of silence for Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Imagine it happened inside the House of Commons, the man who'd been killed exactly a year earlier and is accused of engaging in terror activities within India. Naturally, this gesture further strained relations between the two countries. A common theme that is emerging is that political appeasement coupled with lax laws give Khalistani extremist groups to freely stoke the separatist fire with the blessings of the Canadian government. So far, Justin Trudeau's administration has not shared any concrete proof with the Modi government. Trudeau's last roll of the dice to save his political career is only harming the long-term India-Canada relations and, more importantly, is showing up him and his administration as quite a joke in the eyes of his own people.